So stage 3 for the game is adding duration and also a release cue. So the big thing to remember, so it's the same game, it's just again stepping it to the next level. So when you're teaching a release cue, we have to make sure that our hand signals don't get mixed up with our verbal. So in this case, we want them to be released off of just the verbal, right? So we're gonna help them in the beginning, especially if they don't know a cue. And then we will fade that out. And so again, this one we're going for duration on the bed, but we're also going with a release cue. Adding a cue to just throwing the food off, because in at some stages, what some of the distractions might be food. I throw food and he doesn't get off because he hasn't heard the release cue. So that's why it's important to not just throw the food and think that that's the release, because at some point that might actually be the distraction that you want them to be on the bed for, like if you're cooking dinner or eating dinner or that sort of thing. So we want to make sure that they know that they need to stay on until they hear the release cue. Now he's got several release cues. In this situation, I'm just going to use free. That means you can get off. You might have a different one or might want to develop a different one. So a lot of people will use okay or break or, like I said, free. So those are all options. It doesn't really matter what you use, just as long as you're consistent. So what we want to do in order to not confuse our dogs with, this motion being a release, throwing food is not, this motion is not the release, the word free is. So what we'll do is we'll say the word free and then we'll follow it up, wait 2 seconds and then throw the food, okay? So this is what that's gonna look like. Rowan, free. Good. So adding duration is just, kind of rewarding him for staying on the bed. Now in the beginning, like we are here, we don't want a lot of distractions while they're learning the behavior, but then as the behavior gets more solid, we would add distractions. So just do try to make it a low distraction environment when you're teaching the behavior. When you're rewarding for duration, the harder it is for your dog to stay still and lie down, the higher the frequency you would reward with. But you do want to deliver the food in a calm way still. So I always like to put it on the bed to help add value to the bed. If you do it right to their mouth, which is not a huge problem, but I always like to do it to the bed when I can. If you do it to their mouth, just make sure you're delivering it in a low-key way. Delivering it to their mouth increases focus on you, and delivering it to the bed increases more value to the bed. So our main goal is to have a lot of value to the bed so they'll stay there through distractions. And so that's why I like you to do it to the bed, but not end of the world if you do it to their mouth every now and then. Okay, so let's go ahead and release them. Free. Nice, good boy. So if your dog is the kind of, nice, thank you, that is gonna come off the bed for you having food in your hand, there's other games that we can play for that, and so make sure you hit me up if you have questions with that. Oops. Free. Free. Good. So at the end, this is pretty much what you want at the end of this stage is we'll release when you say your release word to go get the food. Now, that cue is not solid enough. We need to keep on working on that because when I say free, if I just say free, he's just gonna stay on the bed. And what I want him to do when I say free, just like any other cue, I want him to actually do it, which would mean to get off the bed. But that is in step 4.